Hey everyone, it's Samantha, and today I'm going to show you my homemade soft flour tortilla recipe. I start with some flour and some shortening in here, and I'll have the exact measurements down below. I've been using all vegetable shortening for this. You could also use butter or you could use lard. You just need some sort of fat in there. And then I'm pouring in the hot water, and I'm going to add some baking powder and some salt, and the salt's just to season it. And I put it all in the same bowl and mix it all together at the same time. Some people incorporate the shortening into the flour at first and then put everything else in, but I just go with it and stick everything in one pot and just mix it with a fork until it's sort of combined, and then I'll start mixing it with my hand. And when I mix with my hand, I'll be able to tell if it needs more flour or more water. It ended up needing a little bit more water in my case. It got really dry. So it's just a little bit floury. It's not combining well, so I just added a little bit more of the warm water, and then it turned into one nice smooth dough ball right here. You can see you can still play with it. It's still pliable. It's kind of the consistency of Play-Doh. And then you want to let this set for about 10 minutes. I just covered it with a moist towel. And I'm doing a bit of multitasking here. In those 10 minutes, I cut up some green peppers and onions to go in our fajitas. We had some leftover fajita steak and chicken, and we just needed more vegetables in there. So it's simmering on the stove, and I'm going to show you my setup here for making my tortillas. I've got a hot pan. It's over medium right now. The steamer is going. I'm just going to turn it on a little bit, and then I've got my moist towel and a plate here to keep all of the tortillas nice and moist and warm. Now I'm just going to divide all the pieces into little balls. I made 16 dough balls, and I'm covering them up with a moist towel. I ended up moving just a paper towel over onto the other side where that plate was, and I just formed it into a little ball and then rolled it out absolutely as thin as I could get it. You see it's very, very thin because it shrinks back up when it hits the heat. I'm just going to stick it on there, and you can see it shrinking back up. And the first one, for some reason, always ends up thicker than the rest of them. I don't know if I just don't roll it out good enough, or it just shrinks up more than the rest of them do. I'm going to let this heat on the first side for somewhere between 20 and 30 seconds, and I end up flipping them a couple of times to just make sure that they're done. And I'm heating my peppers and onions, so I'm stirring as I'm watching this tortilla. It'll start to bubble up just a tiny bit, and that's when you know it's starting to cook really nicely. So I'm just waiting for it to start bubbling a little bit, and I flipped it over. You can see some of the bubbles on there, and I'm just going to keep checking it back and forth for the next minute or so. I flipped this first one multiple times just to make sure it's not getting too hot. When this first tortilla is done on the stovetop, they get a little bit crispy this way because they don't have the steam rising up. So that's why I have the steamer going. Here is some leftover bean and cheese dip that we got at the Mexican restaurant. So I am going to go ahead and stick this in the steamer to make sure it stays nice and soft, and it gives it a little bit of extra steam. I just pop it in there for a couple of seconds, and then I'll stick it under that paper towel. It makes it very pliable and softens it up a little bit since it gets a little bit crispy on that stovetop sometimes. And for this part, you just want to keep it in a couple of seconds. There's a very fine line between a nice, perfectly steamed tortilla and a soggy tortilla. So be careful with that if you're going to steam them. But adding the steam really does set them apart from just having them on the oven. It just makes them that much better. And here I am snacking on that first one because it is just too thick, and I'm going to use it as my snack. So I'm rolling out a couple as I go, and I'm kind of streamlining this. I have one in the skillet, and as soon as it's done, I steam it for a second, stick it over here, and the top one stuck to the paper towel, so I had to peel that off. So I'm just going in a streamlined fashion. I went ahead and added in our chicken and our steak. It was just leftover chicken and steak, but we ate all the vegetables, so I made more vegetables and made a whole new meal out of the leftovers. And there's the bean and cheese dip. It's all nice and heated up, and I'm on the last of my tortillas. I have 8 of the tortillas here in a bag, just in little balls, and I'm sticking these in the freezer because I can make these another day, and I get 2 meals out of just one batch of tortillas. There are all our beautiful tortillas. They are pretty quick to make, and since we started making them at home, we do not buy the store-bought ones anymore. We just can't stand those anymore. We're totally spoiled with these ones. So this week, my husband bought me a tortilla maker. It's just a press and a hot plate, and I can't wait to try that out. I love homemade tortillas so much, but it is kind of a pain having to go old school and roll them all out and use the skillet and use the steamer. So I'm really excited to try out the tortilla maker, and I will definitely review that for you guys coming up soon too. Here is a look at our finished fajitas, and I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. Be sure to give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to this channel for some more video updates. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day. Bye.